Hi everyone, this is Pranav. Today we will be dealing with a problem called two sports. So the problem statement states that players is a dictionary that has the details of the sports played by some people. The keys are the names of the people. The values corresponding to a key is another dictionary. The keys of the inner dictionary are the names of the sports, for example tennis, cricket, badminton, etc. And the values are Boolean values which represent whether the person plays a sport or not. So given here is an example. So players is your main dictionary. The keys of this dictionary are Karthik and Rahul, as you can see. And as given by the question, the values of these two keys are again dictionaries. So the keys of the inner dictionary are namely the sports played, example tennis, badminton, cricket, etc. And the values of the corresponding keys are Boolean values. So this example states that Karthik plays tennis and badminton while cricket is not played by Karthik. Similarly, Rahul plays only cricket and he does not play tennis and badminton. So we are tasked with finding those players who play exactly two sports. So the question states that write a function named exactly2 that accepts the dictionary players as argument and returns the set of all players who play exactly two sports. So we look into the given example in more detail. The example given was a dictionary named players, and the keys of the dictionary are basically the names of the players. So here I have taken only one player named Karthik. So what we will be looking here is how we access these Boolean values. So finally what we need is to check whether this Boolean value is true or not, and that is what will give us if the player is playing exactly 2 or more than 2 or less than 2. So how we will access this is basically when we want to access a dictionary, let us say D is our dictionary. So if we want to access a key of this dictionary, let's say A, and it has value 2 or something like that, for example. Okay, so how we access the value 2 is by giving D of A, right? So we give D of A to access that particular value, right? So similarly over here what we will do is use the keys to access the values, but here we have a nested dictionary, so it will be a bit tricky. So first, to access the inner dictionary, what we will do is we will give players of the name. Let us just store Karthik in a variable called name, or let us store it in a variable called player. Okay, so players of player. So now this is going to access this inner dictionary, right? So this will access this inner dictionary. So since this inner dictionary was a value for this particular key, this dictionary gets accessed. Now if we want to access this particular Boolean value, what we will do is add another key. Let's say this key called tennis, we will just store it in sport. Okay, so we will access the value corresponding to that particular sport in this manner. So this was just a generic example. We will be dealing with the code a bit later. So just understand that we will be accessing the inner dictionary with this part of the code, and the Boolean value with just an extension of this part with the new key of the inner dictionary. So player is basically the keys of the outer dictionary or the given dictionary, and sport is the keys of the inner dictionary. So now we will look into the code. Now let us code the solution. So we will call the function exactly2 and take as argument a dictionary called players. Now what we intend to do here is return a set, right? So we will first create the set and call it names, and let me just return names. So we will be populating this set with the given conditions, right? So our condition states that the player should play exactly 2 sports. So we will first iterate through the given dictionary. So we will give for player in players. So what this does is takes the dictionary corresponding to each player, right? So what I mean to say is for player in players accesses each key, and while we access that particular key in the format of players of player as we saw, it will give us the corresponding inner dictionary. So for each player we want to keep track of the number of sports he plays. So we will create a variable for that as well. So number of sports equals 0. Initially we will give it as 0, and for each player we are going to iterate through the sports he plays and find out the number of sports he actually plays. So for sport in players of player. So this is what I was talking about, that the inner dictionary is accessed in this manner. Now we are going to access the value in the inner dictionary using the key in the inner dictionary, which is sport. So if players of player of sport, so what this gives us is basically a boolean value, so we can leave it as such. So if it is true, the if statement gets evaluated, if it is false, it does not go in. And if this is true, we want to increase the number of sports by 1. So number of sports plus equal to 1. So now we are done with iterating through the inner dictionary, right? So once we are done with the inner dictionary of one player, we want to check if the number of sports played by that player is 2. So it's a simple if statement over here. So if number of sports is double equal to 2, you add him to the set. So how you add him to the set is basically using the built-in method, which is .add. So names dot add of player. So you just want to add his name, so we are giving player. And finally we have returned names. So let us test this particular example provided. So I will just copy this input and let us print exactly underscore 2 of players. So let us run this example. Yeah, so we get the output as Karthik, which is as expected by the given output. Thank you.